Welcome to my new channel of learning principles of microeconomics and macroeconomics and other related subjects such as principles of statistics and management. We're going to have a series of lessons for each subject. At the end of each lesson, we're going to have a solution of some problems that apply the concepts presented in each lesson. We're going to start with macroeconomics. Our first topic is going to be Introduction to Economics. As I said, our first lesson is Introduction to Economics. Our first topic in this lesson is going to be why study economics. Why study economics? As you see, economics, there's no subject in the present day is so important as economics. Economics is classed as a practical social science. It is usually placed in the School of Art and Sciences rather than the School of Business. Our first reason why studying economics is that economics is a required course for many different fields. Why this is so? Because it interacts with almost all other academic subjects. As you can see, many students take economics. Why? Because it's so important. Our second reason, our first reason for studying economics is that it is a required course. It is a required course. Second reason for studying economics is the impact that economic theories and concepts have on world leaders. Is the impact that the economic concepts and theories have on world leaders. You should know that much of what political decision makers do is based on economics. Okay? Here we can say that when political people running for office, usually they talk about economic issues. Why? Because these issues are so intimate to the lives of their voters. Okay? When, for instance, President Bush was running for office back in the 1990s, he uses some economic concepts to convince people to vote for him. He said to them, read my lips, no new taxes. So taxes, whether taxes go up or down, affects, consumers, affect people. So when taxes go up, for instance, it will mean a reduction in disposable income. And when we have a reduction in disposable income, that means lower income for people, lower income for consumers, which implies at the end a lower consumption. That's why he talks about economic issues in order to convince people to vote for him. So as you can see here, is that as citizens and voters electing representatives, as citizens and voters electing representatives, the knowledge and familiarity of economics will be helpful. It will help them to understand many of the economic issues, talked about by politicians. A third reason for studying economics is that economics gives a better understanding of the of the society, or it gives a better understanding of how society functions. Economics provide economics, our teaching, our studying economics will provide economic methods for analyzing and understanding, government decisions for conducting its fiscal policy. As one of Harvard, famous economist by the name Greg Mankiw, once said that when economists try to study the world, they act or they function as scientists. Why? Because they use theories to test. Okay. Also, economics, of course, economics is it gives you a better understanding of the life around us. Economics has big impact on politics. Remember that back in the 1990s, the Soviet Union collapsed because it could not secure cheese and bread on the Soviet tables. So here we can see the relationship between economics and politics. Let me conclude my first topic, why study economics. To conclude that topic, I say that a country that is stable economically is stable politically. A country that is not stable or unstable economically is subject to many political vibrations. Okay, now let me move to the second topic, which is scarcity and economics. Scarcity and economics. So before I talk about scarcity, let me talk about resources, because resources are the engine of production. What do I mean when we say resources? First of all, remember that resources has another name. Resources is the same as factors of production or inputs. So whether we say factors of production, inputs, or resources, they mean the same thing. So what do I mean? What do I mean when I say resources? Of course, economists, group these into four classes. That is, we have four kinds of resources, namely land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurships. What do I mean by land? Land, of course, refers to all of the nature's gifts, such as air, water, sunshine, oil, forest, and all other things. Sometimes economists, refer to all of these as natural resources. The other type of inputs or resource or factor of production is labor. Labor refers to the physical and mental abilities that some humans have to apply the production of goods and services. Capital consists of produced goods that are used as inputs to produce other goods, such as machines and equipment. So, when we say capital, we means produced goods, and these produced goods are used as inputs to produce other goods and services. We're talking about machines and equipment. All these are called capital. And remember that a country with more capital, it means it has more productions. The other factor of production or resource is entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship refers to the economic leadership, talent, and innovative ideas that some people have to organize the other inputs in order eventually to produce goods and services. So here I can say that these resources are the building blocks to production. They are the engine to produce. So once we finish these, these resources, once we finish talking about these resources, we move, because actually these resources are used to produce goods and services. What do I mean by goods and services? Of course, goods or services are produced by factories. But in the process of producing these goods and services, pollution and smoke is also produced. Therefore, what do I mean when I say a good? Economists define a good as anything that gives us utility. or satisfaction or happiness. Anything, such as this marker. This marker is a good. Why? Because I can use it to write on the board. A mobile is a good because it gives me benefits. I can use it to call or, use it to do other things. A chair is good because I can sit on it. So a good is anything that I can get benefit from it when I use it. How about a bad? A bad is something that gives you disutility, that gives you dissatisfaction, such as smoke or pollution. These are bad. Now, the question is that can something be a good for someone and a bad for another? Yes. Smoking cigarettes is good for someone and bad for for another person. Therefore, smoking cigarette is good and bad at the same time. Now we are ready to talk about scarcity. Scarcity is a fact of life. It coexists with poverty and wealth. It is the central problem of economics. Scarcity prevails because of two essential basic conditions. A physical condition that is characterized by limited resources, finite resources, and a mental condition that is characterized by infinite wants. Infinite desires. Therefore, scarcity exists. So scarcity is the condition in which our wants or our desires for goods and services are much greater than the resources available to satisfy them. So everybody feels scarcity, the rich and the poor. A rich country feels scarcity, and a poor country feels scarcity. But then the question that should be asked, why is one country is rich and the other poor? Why not both are poor or both are rich? Because they both feel scarcity. The answer is that both countries are operated under different institutions or systems. The institution that is operated in each country matters. Besides, the main and major standards that are implemented in each country will make a difference. Here we're talking about standards such as transparency, integrity, credibility, accountability, and accounting. Whenever these standards or one of these standards is abused, then the country is poor. So scarcity is a fact of life. We have some effects of scarcity. The first effect of scarcity is making choices. So we have here scarcity has some effects. Making choices. Well, scarcity dictates that people make choices. If we have unlimited wants for goods and services, however, the resources available to satisfy these wants are limited. Therefore, people should choose which ones to satisfy and which ones not to satisfy. Therefore, now we are ready to define economics. A short definition of economics is that economics is the study of scarcity. However, a long definition of economics is that economics is a social science that studies the choices that the whole society makes in the presence of scarcity. Another effect of the presence of scarcity is the need for a rationing device. Well, a rationing device is a way or a means of deciding who gets what of the available goods and resources. So, because as we know that many of our wants go unsatisfied, and therefore, because of the presence of unlimited wants for goods and services, therefore, to ration the limited resources and goods, a rationing device is needed. One major rationing device is the national currency. If the national currency is the dollar price, then the dollar price is a major rationing device. So to illustrate this concept more clearly, consider the case of, let's say, having 50 mobiles in a mobile shop. And everyone wants to have a mobile, wants to buy a mobile. So how do we know who gets what of the quantity of mobiles? The answer is, of course, having a rationing device or the dollar price. The one who pay the dollar price can end up having the mobile. Also, another effect of having a scarcity is competition. Well, competition for what? Competition for the rationing device. Because once you have the rationing device or the dollar price, then you are able to get the goods that you want. Therefore, people eventually will compete for rationing device. Let's say a college student go to college and his final objective is to gain a job and get incomes, that is, get more rationing devices. Therefore, the ultimate objectives of households is to get more rationing device. Now we have agreed that the presence of unlimited wants dictates that we make choices. So every decision to produce or consume something implies sacrificing the opportunity to produce or consume something else. Now we can see that the concept of opportunity cost is so important in economics. What actually do we mean when we say opportunity cost? Let me write that definition on the board. Opportunity cost is defined as the most highly valued alternative or opportunity foregone or given up when a choice is made. So, opportunity cost is defined as the most highly valued alternative or opportunity foregone or given up when a choice is made. So if you look carefully at the definition, we see that we have many alternatives for any decision or any choice we make. So to illustrate this, to clarify and illustrate this definition, let's give an example. Suppose we plan to attend a meeting at 8 o'clock in the evening. Suppose we plan to attend a meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning, at 8 o'clock in the evening. And we have many other alternatives to that event. Suppose instead of attending the meeting at 8 o'clock in the evening, I could have watched TV. I could have taken a nap. I could have taken a dinner. I could have watch TV and other, alternatives. So here we have many alternatives to that event of attending a meeting at 8 o'clock in the evening. So if I decided to watch TV instead of attending the meeting at 8 o'clock in the evening, then I say that the opportunity cost of attending the meeting at 8 o'clock in the evening is watching TV. So if instead of attending the meeting, I chose to watch TV, then watching TV is the next best alternative to attending the meeting at 8 o'clock in the evening. Therefore, the opportunity cost of attending the meeting at 8 o'clock in the evening is watching TV. So here we're talking about many alternatives, okay? And I am to choose the best alternative to that decision or things that I plan to do, okay? Okay, now we can see, therefore, that anytime we choose a decision or make a choice, we incur a cost called opportunity cost. Now, opportunity cost usually changes the behavior of a person. When the opportunity cost increases, it will change the behavior of the person. Let me give you an example, okay, to see how the behavior changes once the opportunity cost changes, okay? Let me see here. Here in the definition that I just stated, we have so many alternatives, okay, to the decision to attend a meeting at 8 o'clock in the evening. Now, I'm going to just restrict the choices to only one. You have one choice here, and then you have another choice, okay, so that we can see what is or how the opportunity cost will affect the behavior of the person. Say that you plan to go to summer school and take 6 hours, and the other choice is that the other alternative to this is working in the summer and earning $1,000. So you have here, okay, you have going to summer schools and earn 6 hours. The other alternative to this is working and earning $1,000. Now you look at the alternative of going to summer school, and you notice that if you decided not to go to summer school, then the alternative available to you is to go and work and earn $1,000. You look at this and you say, well, $1,000 is so little, okay? So you go to summer school. So look what happens to your behavior if we increase, the earning when you work to $2,000. What will happen to your behavior? Do you continue to go to summer school, or you drop summer school and go and work? So let's say we increase this one to $2,000. We increase, okay, the earning of the job in the summer to $2,000. What happens to your behavior? Once the wage of your work in the summer go up to $2,000, then your behavior will change. So we can say here, the higher the opportunity cost of doing something, the less likely it will be done. So once the opportunity cost of going to summer school increase, okay, then what happens? You may not go to summer school. So, therefore, the rule is as follows. The higher the opportunity cost of doing something, the less likely it will be done.